Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'll be walking you through your 2023 Surveyor 253Rls. We are just going to start off the back of the unit. If you notice up top, we're pre-wired for an observation camera. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can contact the parts department. Aside from that, you got your stairs, so you can get up and periodically check all your seals, make sure your solar panels are clean. Then you have your spare tire located on the back, and additional to that, you do have this back rack, which is pretty simple. It's kind of a little cargo rack system. You're taking the pins from underneath it, from locking it in place, it folds down. Quite as simple as that. Also located at the back, you do have electric stabilizer jacks. You're gonna have a front set of jacks and a rear set of jacks. I'm just gonna show you the front set of jacks today just to keep the video nice and to the point. You got your extend button, pushing and holding that down. The feet are gonna start making their way down to the ground. Just keeping in mind they are stabilizing jacks, they're not leveling jacks. And if the feet start going down at different times, don't panic. It is an open gear system. So the one with the least resistance is gonna go down first sometimes, but they both will come down eventually. You're just pushing that, hold that down button. Jacks are gonna start making their way down. Once they're at their full extension, you hear the motors wind up, and that's when you can just let off the button. So you heard the motors wind up, so that's when you're gonna wanna let off, because you don't wanna be putting too much force on them, just because you don't wanna run the risk of bending them. And then to retract them, it's as simple as holding the retract button. Your feet are gonna automatically start coming up. Again, they could come up at different times, but they will both come up eventually. And once feet contact the bottom of the trailer, you're gonna hear the motors wind up again, and you can just let off the button. And both feet are at the bottom there, so that's all for that. We're gonna come around the passenger side of the unit now. Pulling on that bumper tube, you do have caps on either side. That's gonna be where you wanna put your sewer hose after your first use. We have a brand new one located inside the front compartment. We just recommend you keeping it in the back here once you use it, just so you keep as much smell out of the unit as possible. You got your cable satellite inlet here. Then you got your standard 30 amp twist lock connection. You're just taking that, pulling that off. Take a note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. Once you line those two up, a firm push into place, 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. You follow that cord back. You do have your standard 30 amp plug-in. Most campsites should have this, and you can plug right on in, but let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge. Your campsite only has 15 amp service, which is your typical standard household outlet. We do include that adapter. And whenever you're using that adapter, just keep it in mind, it's just for running your lights, your fridge, and charging up your batteries. You can't run your air conditioner off it. And once you get that green light right at the top there, it's telling you have a successful power source. If the red light were to be on, it'd be telling you have a bad source of power. It's not an issue with the trailer. A little further down the unit, coming into your little sewer dump area, taking that cap, twisting it off. It's going to be the same ears your sewer hose have. They line up with these notches like so. Once you get them all lined up, you're just twisting and locking into place, and you'd be all hooked up. Then you got your gray valve and your black valve. You always want to empty your black valve first. This can be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. And then you can come behind that with your gray valve, which is typical cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. The reason we say that just helps keep that hose that little bit cleaner. Top here, you do got your city water connection. So if you're out of site with service, thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. And then right down below, you got your black tank flush. So if you're noticing false monitor panel readings or just an odor around the unit, you can thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to flush that system out, but always before doing that, always making sure you read the caution sticker. That's just ensuring that you do have to have your sewer connected and your black tank, the black tank valve open. Failure to do so, if you're pushing pressure inside of the tank and that pressure has nowhere to go, it could expand the tank to the point of cracking. So always being mindful whenever you're using that, just making sure you're hooked up and the valve is open. Next, you get your fresh water connection. So if you're out boondocking and your campsite doesn't have water, you got your fresh tank, filling that up right to that spout there. And that's what your water pump draws off of. And then right down below the floor, you got your fresh tank drain. With the valve in the position like it is now, the valve's open, so it's going to allow the water to drain. Closing it is just like that. Get your hot water service port, pulling, opening up that guy. Pressure relief valve, giving that guy a pull. There should be a shot of water coming out of there, letting you know that the tank's full. We did currently summarize this unit, and I drained the tank, which is why there's no water coming out of there now, so it wouldn't be safe to fire up. So like I said, just given that, there should be a shot of water coming out of there. If you were to turn on your water right now, it would start filling your tank, so you'd be okay. You got your 1/16 drain bolt right down here. Loosen that guy off. That's going to be how you drain the tank for the season. Opening up this compartment here, it does go right to the other side. That's where we have that 15-amp park adapter, your sewer hose, and it also comes with a water hose as well. Aside from that, on this side, you got 3 screws, 2 on this side, 1 on the other side over there. Loosening off those guys, this false panel is going to pop out of the way. That's where you're going to get access to your bypass valves for your water heater, as well as the bypass tube hose for your jug of antifreeze to stick it in. And following the hose back is going to lead you to that bypass valve. Coming around the front, you got your battery located inside this box here. Got your disconnect switch on the frame with it in the on position like it is now. The batteries are connected to the unit. Turning it to the off position would disconnect the batteries from the system, and additional to that, you do also disable the 12 volt inside. So if you ever don't have 12 volt and you know you're plugged in and have power, this would be the first place I would check. You got your 2 propane tanks located up front, and most of the time, for your day-to-day needs, get what you need just from up top here. But for the purpose of the video, I'll pull it right out of place. Lifting up nice and gentle, it pops right off. Got your 2 propane tanks, selector valve right at the front on the front of your regulator. With it pointed this way, you're going to be drawing off this tank. This tank were to go dry, just closing it off. You can twist it over to the other side, and then you can run it off this tank. Turning it on counterclockwise like any standard barbecue. Just opening up the valve nice and slow, opens up the flow to the unit. Then you got your tongue jack up front, a little light built in, manual override right at the top. Coming here, this is where you're going to find the switch for your front stabilizer jacks. Now inside this compartment, flipping that guy open, you're going to see the weight distribution which this customer opted to go with. You got your griddle, you got your little exterior sprayer. I'll just show you how that works quick. Coming over here, got this little black flap, pull that guy open. You got a notch on either side of the sprayer. You're lining it up with the corresponding slots on this side. Push, twist, and lock into place. You need to have sprayable cold water. So once we get inside here, you got your manual override, which is for your tongue jack. You also have a couple of other different bars in here. I'm gonna go over those quickly with you. We'll go to the other side just so I can show you. So on this side here, coming in where your stabilizer jack would be, is on the other side. You have to go back around to the other side. Sorry, it was that side. I am going to have to go over how these stabilizer jacks work at the end of the video. They more than likely don't have an override, but the other override bar is going to be for your slide out if that's activated for any reason whatsoever. If you look underneath here, there will be right here. You're going to have this hole that goes right through to the other side. There's a little slot in there, corresponding slot for your bar. Stick that bar all the way in, making sure you get seated onto the override shaft. Now, if your slide out were to fail for any reason whatsoever, you do have a manual override to open her up. Just keep it in mind whenever you're using this. There's going to be a lot of tension on that. So just keep that in mind when you're using it. I'll leave that open for a second. So you got your first entryway door. Stairs work like standard trailer stairs. Just pull them out, fold them down. And that can be how you get in and out. Assist handle, pushing it up, folding it 90 degrees, it'll lock into place. We're not going to enter through this door today just because this is your bedroom entryway door. Right down below the floor, you get your 2 low point drains. So if you don't want the water going stale or stagnant because you're leaving the unit for a while, cracking these guys open, it's just going to drain most of the fluid out of the lines. They do work really well for winterizing as well. Once you're done winterizing completely, just cracking them open, let some of that antifreeze out. Now in this compartment here, you got your little kitchen area, mini fridge that's going to be working whenever you're hooked up to shore power. It's not 12 volt. Pull this guy out, slide this over. Let's get your little kitchen area. Pull that guy up, pull out your griddle. Once you bring your griddle over, you're gonna notice this one back leg isn't gonna fit through the hole, so you just have to loosen it off, pull it out of its hole, set the rest of the feet into their desired slots. Then you take that one leg you had left over. This is just a safety feature. It locks it in onto the topper here. Locks that down. Then you can take your quick connect line, pull the dust cap off, feed this down through the back, pull back like any standard airline, and insert it onto the corresponding spot here. I always like assisting the regulator whenever I'm pushing it into place. That way you're not putting any excess strain on anything. Once this is running down here, you got the other side of the quick connect. Always making sure you put your dust caps back in place whenever you're finished using them. And this side works just like the other side, pulling back on the collar, it'll snap it into place. Then you got that little valve that opens up the flow of propane to your griddle, and then you just hit the igniter and it would fire right on up. Now, as an added safety feature, with that open, you can't operate the collar, so you do have to close it, which will then allow you to disconnect it. And you can take the rest of this down. There's a little bucket that sits inside here for your sprayer in case you want to use it. It's inside the front compartment. Furnace exhaust, whenever that's on, it's going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. Up at the top here, you got your range hood vent. Whenever you get your campsite, always want to make sure you unclip that. That way you're allowing those fumes to exit. And whenever you're done camping and off traveling again, making sure you do snap it back into place. That way you're not getting any excess dust inside to the unit. Now to the best part, we get to open up our door, so you can take your assist handle, fold it 90 degrees, it's going to lock into place. Not allow you to open up your door, you got to open up your door all the way to get the stairs out. Pull on that little blue handle, the stairs are going to come towards you. You got adjustable feet for your campsite needs. You just have to line up the notches, count how many you have on each side so they're nice and level. Fold them down. Now you can take a step on inside. First thing you notice off on your left is that fire extinguisher. Just like home, pull the pin and shoot. Up on the wall here, you got your awning LED light switch, your porch light switch, which turns on that little orange light outside, and then your interior light switch, which turns on all the main living space lights. Then you got your slide out control. Before you ever run your slide out, always making sure you know what's on either side of the slide, inside and out. The reason I say inside, sometimes things do tend to shift during travel. So if you can, always just taking a quick peek around, making sure nothing's in its way. And if you can't, because the slide out blocks your view, just being mindful when you're putting it out to watch it, making sure you're not binding or anything. And on the other side of the slide, just making sure you have enough room to put it out all the way. Once you did all that, just pushing and holding the out button, the slide out's gonna start making its way out. And once it's hit its full extension, you're gonna hear the motors wind up and click, and that's when you can just let off the button. So you heard the clicking, so you know they're fully out now. Then you got your awning control next. Pushing and holding that up, the awning's gonna start making its way out. Once it's hit its full extension, you're gonna see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hanging down. And unfortunately today, just due to space, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get it all the way out, but I will be able to get it out enough to show you a couple of the other features. So that is about all we're gonna be able to go out with today. Before we start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now if you like that angle better because it allows for more shade underneath, you can do the same thing with the front arm. Just making sure you do push those arms back to straight before you go to bring your awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. And whenever you have your awning out, always keep an eye on wind speeds. Doesn't take much to start picking up that awning and possibly causing damage to the fabric or the arms. Bringing it in, pushing the retract button, making sure the fabric rolls the right way in. Once the arms contact the side of the trailer, the motors are automatically going to cut out. Right below that, you got your solar controller. So there is a bunch of different settings you can go in and play with. I'm going to recommend going over the owner's manual to get into all of those, but we do currently have it set up for your basic charging needs. Whenever there's sun outside hitting that panel, it's going to be applying a charge to your battery up front. One thing to note, the panels, once they get dusty and dirty, it's going to be less useful, I guess, isn't the proper word, but I can't think of the right word right now. So going up there periodically and just cleaning it off with a gentle cleaner. I wouldn't even recommend using a cleaner, just some hot water and a rag, wipe it off. Just keep it clean so you're getting a clean charge to the batteries. Next, you got your rear couch space. Lots of accent lighting throughout this unit, all on their own center push buttons. And then you got storage all around. Always keeping an eye on drains, water lines, and wiring whenever you are using the storage. You got your two rear reclining chairs. Reclining, you just gotta pull on this plastic notch here. It's gonna allow that to extend itself out. You got plugins on either side of the couch, USB and regular household plugins in your little dinette area here. Again, light on its own center push button. This does turn down into a bed. You're just having to remove the feet right from underneath their feet. Remove the poles from their feet, set the tabletop on its desired ledges, and then you could take your back cushions to fill in the center. You'd have yourself another bed in case you were to have guests of any sort. And then all the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. And then pulling it once will allow them to retract back up. You got your Furrion fridge here. Fridge freezer combo. Controls for both are right down below here. Counterclockwise all the way. It's going to be its coldest setting. Anywhere before that's a warmer setting. And then you're going to notice some off-grid writing here. That's just letting you know the most energy efficient setting to run it on whenever you're running off battery power. Charcoal filter in the far left. That's just to help with any fridge odors. We do sell replacement ones here at the shop. Just get into contact with the parts department, put the other quote for you. Little pantry space, nice little addition. The motion sensing light inside here. It's currently on the number 2 setting, which is motion sensing. In the middle is going to be off, and then if you click it over to that 1 position, it's going to run on full time. Now over in your entertainment center, TV up top. If you notice behind the TV, if you move that over, you got your coax outlet. There's this little black button here. It turns that green light on. That's applying power to the antenna on the roof. Now that also improves radio frequency and cell phone frequency. So that's another thing I recommend turning on once you get to your campsite. But of course, once you're done, I do recommend turning it off just because it does draw battery power. Got your sound bar right down below, pretty much just like home, minus the fact of having zone 1 and zone 2. Zone 1 is going to be your interior speakers. Zone 2 will be your exterior speakers. And then right down below, you got your fireplace. Power button on the far left there. To the right of it, you got your different colors you can choose between, and then you got your different brightnesses, and then you have your temperature setting on the far right. Power button again to turn it all off. Right below your fireplace, because you are propane, you got your LP detector right here near the ground. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit. Open up some windows and vents just to ventilate things out, get some fresh oxygen inside here. And it's also very sensitive to cleaning chemicals, so if you were to be cleaning around it, it starts going off, use your best judgment, but typically it's just going to be that chemical it's sensing. And then you do have your little central vac system. The bag is already attached here. We sell more of these at the shop as well. And that's how you get to that. You're just having to pull that tab over and pop it over. Slide that over, it'll allow you to insert your tool, power button, turn it on. And then right here, you're gonna see it's a kind of a dustpan system. Just keeping in mind, whenever you suck into there, it does go into that bag, so it's not really for anything sharp, it's really just for dirt, gravel, or dust. Suck up everything right in front of it. Storage all around. Got your microwave, just like home, not much I'm gonna show you there. Then you got your range hood, which of course I already said that I recommend running whenever you're using your stove. That way you're evacuating as much of those propane fumes as possible. Surveyor includes this nice little cutting board in the back, just noticing that. Now to get your stove to light, before we get into that, I'm gonna go over a couple things about propane. When you turn the system off, it allows air into the lines. Sometimes it can take a few minutes to purge all the air out of the lines. So I always recommend whenever you get to your campsite, if you've had the propane system off, just firing up your stove first thing. It's the easiest, quickest way to purge all the air out of the lines. Because if you were to go to light your water heater or your furnace, those only try lighting themselves a few times before they're going to throw a fault code, which could throw you off and maybe cause issues. Turning that over to the high/light option, pushing it in, hitting that sparker. Extra note, whenever you have that on and you're running that gas, always hitting that sparker every few seconds. That way you don't get any buildup of propane and some sort of combustion. But they do all light up, and they did light up pretty quick today just because I already had the system running earlier. Same thing goes for the oven. Oven could take longer than the stove even, just because the gas orifice is so small for the pilot. But you're turning that knob over to the high/light option, pushing and holding the knob in. Hitting the sparker, you're gonna get that pilot to light, pushing and holding it in for another few seconds until it can hold its own. Once you can let off, you can turn it over to your desired temperature and it does fire right on up. On the right, you do got a light switch button. You can either turn on some accent lightings or you can turn on the accents plus your little oven light so you can see what you're doing. So whenever you're using this glass top, always allowing this to cool down before you close it. Just be gentle with it because it is glass. Sink hot and cold water. Storage all around, like I said. A little bottle holder, bottle opener. Above your head, whenever you're using the air conditioner, you have two options. You can run these louvers closed, in which case it moves all its air through the ceiling ducting we have throughout, or you can open them up and then it's going to dump all its air into the main living space. And whenever you're running the furnace, it does move its air through the floor portals we have throughout the unit. Then you're going to notice up here, you do have a vent. You also have another vent in your bedroom and in the bathroom. Work the same way, opening it up all the way. Now, if you were to start traveling, always making sure you bring that down. Otherwise, you do run the risk of damaging your vent lid. And if it were to start raining, it is going to get wet inside here. That's why we do sell max air covers here at the shop. It's a great little addition to go with your camper. Essentially, it's a vent lid that goes over top of this. That's going to allow you that if you leave it open and you're traveling, it's not causing any damage. And of course, if it was raining, it's not going to get wet inside here. If you'd like to get set up with that, just contact your parts department and they'll put together a quote for you. Right here, a little side extension piece for some extra counter space. You're just flipping those into place, locks it, pulling them down to unlock it. Just a little note here, if you loosely it flips up pretty good, so if you had your fingers in there, you might get a little snap. Up on the wall, you got your Furion thermostat. Pretty simple, pushing and holding the power button is going to turn it on. It's going to go to your last known setting, so in this case it's fan. So now this is just moving air around using the air conditioner, no heating or cooling involved. You can go from low to high just by pressing the fan button. One more time, we'll get you into dry. That's a dehumidifying mode. It's just going to try and take as much moisture out of the air as possible using the air conditioner. Another time, you get to cool. Now, whenever you're in the cool setting, up or down at any time to change your desired room temperature. And whenever you see your fan speed, if you're in low or high, it's going to run full time regardless of what the room's set to. If you turn it over to automatic, it turns it into an on-demand system, so it'll kick it in and out as needed. So if we're at 22, once it senses the room's at 16 degrees, which we have it set for, it's going to turn off the air conditioner. One more time, we'll get you over heat. That's going to kill the air conditioner, fire up the furnace. The furnace does run off propane. Whenever you're running that furnace, it's going to, whenever you turn it off, it's going to run for an additional 3 minutes. So just be mindful of that. Pushing and holding the power button to turn it back off. You're going to notice this slider door here. You got that travel strap. If this travel strap isn't on, it's going to allow that door to slide freely back and forth. So whenever you're traveling, always double checking that you got all your travel straps latched. That way you're not causing any damage during travel. Light switch is on the left for the bathroom. On this side, it's pretty much your simple bathroom, toilet, shower. On this side here, medicine cabinet, nice little window in case you need to crack open for a breeze. And then on this side of the cabinet, you got your main GFI plug. So if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd check. They're all hooked up through GFI. So you got reset in the middle, test on the left. Again, just double checking that's not tripped. You got your heated tank holding system. So that's essentially just a sticky pad that's onto the bottom of the tank. Whenever you turn it on, it applies 12-volt power to it, creating heat. They say it's for extended camping season, but just keep it in mind if you are camping below -0, you are running the risk of things freezing, so keep that in mind. Water pump switch, turning that on, draws from your fresh tank. And then you got your control, monitor panel system up top. Pushing the button gives you the corresponding level. Water heater, you can fire it on either gas or electric. If you do fire it on gas, pushing that button, water heater is going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, this fault light's going to come on. In that case, you do just have to turn the water heater off. It could have been just a purging issue, so give it about 30 seconds to a minute to allow itself to reset, and then try firing it back up again. Last but not least, we will take a step on into the bedroom. Light switch on the left. Fire exit for the bedroom. Just taking that tab, pulling it. It's going to pop right out of place, the screen. Then you can take your handle and jump on out of the unit. Get your TV backer on the wall. So if you want to mount a TV, it's the best place to do so. Little reinforced piece of plywood back here. 2 plugins. You also have a coax outlet in case you want to get set up with that. Again, you're going to notice in here you do got 2 more vents, like I had said, one in the bathroom, one in the bedroom. Then you got your bed, lifting it up at the foot. You do get access to some storage space underneath. Great little spot for blankets. You got sleep out back. You got a little back cubby area where you got plugins and cup holders on either side. You also have plugins on either side of your bed as well. On the outside, storage all around. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.